I think there's a good chance that some people will watch this video and tell me I'm doing retirement all wrong. And honestly, I understand why. If you looked at my retirement account, you'd probably tell me the same thing. But before you do, let me show you the one number that completely changed the way I think about retirement. $805 a month. That's what my Roth IRA is currently generating. About $805 a month in tax-free income. My monthly expenses are about $2,000. So one account is already on track to cover almost half of what it costs me to live. I'm 52 now. I don't plan to touch this account for another 8 years. So there's a potential for this $805 to grow even more by reinvesting the income that it currently generates. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Anthony, why would you focus on income instead of trying to grow your account as much as possible? And that's a fair question, because for years, that's exactly how I thought. The bigger the account balance, the better. And that's what we're taught, to save more, to invest more, to grow more. And don't get me wrong, I still believe that growth is important. High growth investments are currently in my 401k. But somewhere along the way, I realized that I was spending all my time watching my retirement account grow without thinking much about what I actually wanted it to do for me one day. And that's why this $805 caught my attention. Not because it made me rich, not because it changed my life overnight, but because it made me look at retirement from a completely different angle. And once I did, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Let me explain. That $805 isn't money that I'm taking out. I'm 52. I don't plan on touching my Roth IRA for about another 8 years. But every month, that account is producing about $805 in income. Now compare that to my monthly expenses. I live on about $2,000 a month. And that means one account could eventually cover almost half of what it costs me to live. And at the end of the day, that's the whole point of a retirement account, isn't it? Not to die with the biggest retirement account, but to build a retirement that helps you sleep a little better. Does that make sense? If it does, hit that like button to let me know. Because many of us spend years working, saving, and trying to prepare for retirement. Retirement should be a time of peace, a type of peace that allows you to sleep better at night. And here is where this gets a little controversial. Some people would say I'm making a mistake because 70% of my Roth IRA is invested in income-producing assets. The other 30% is invested in growth. A lot of investors would flip those numbers, especially inside a Roth IRA. They'd say, Anthony, that's where your biggest growth should be. And I completely understand that argument. In fact, if I were 35 years old, I'd probably agree with them. But I'm not 35 anymore. I'm 52. And retirement doesn't feel the same at 52 as it did at 35. Here's what changed for me. When I was younger, I looked at my investment and I thought, I hope this double one day. Now, I look at them and I think, can this help pay my bills one day? And that's a completely different mindset. And neither one is wrong. They're just different seasons of life. For me, seeing that $805 every month reminds me that my money is starting to do exactly what I spent decades asking it to do. And you know what surprised me the most? It wasn't the $805. It was what that number did to my thinking. When I was younger, every extra dollar I invested had one job: grow. Grow as much as possible. Because retirement felt a long way off. But retirement has a funny way of sneaking up on you. One day you're planning for it, and the next day you're close enough to picture what life might actually look like. And that's when your priorities start to change. 10 years ago, if you asked me whether I'd rather have another $100,000 in my account or another $800 a month in income, I wouldn't have hesitated a bit. I'd have taken the bigger account balance. Today, I'm not so sure because I've learned something that nobody ever talked to me about. A retirement account isn't just there to impress you or to impress others, it's there to support you. Now, does that mean everyone should invest the way I do? Absolutely not. I'm not telling you to copy my portfolio. In fact, your strategy may be completely different depending on your age, your goals, your situation. What I'm saying is don't build your retirement around someone else's definition of success. Build it around the life you're actually trying to live. For me, seeing that $800 every month reminds me that my retirement isn't just growing, it's getting ready to do its job. And honestly, that's a pretty good feeling. But here's the part that I'm really curious about because I know not everyone is going to agree with me. I know some of you are probably watching and thinking, Anthony, you're giving up too much growth. And you may be right. There's definitely a trade-off. If my retirement account grows slower in the next 10 to 15 years because of the way I've invested it, I'm okay with that because I also know this. If the market drops 30% next year, my monthly income doesn't suddenly disappear. And that's important to me, not because I need the income today, but because I like knowing it's there if I do need it. And that helps me sleep a little better. And as I've gotten older, I've realized peace of mind has value too. Maybe not something that you can measure on a spreadsheet, but it's valuable just the same. So now I'm curious, if you were building your retirement today, would you rather have a bigger account balance or more monthly income? And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I honestly think it depends on the person. But I love to hear how you're thinking about it because one of my favorite parts about this channel is reading the comments. There are people watching from all over the country and all over the world, and some already retired, some hoping to retire in a few years, and some who are just getting started. You know, every one of us has a different story, and I think we can all learn from each other. So let me know in the comments below, would you rather focus on growth or knowing your retirement can help pay the bills one day? I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts below. Now, when I look back at my younger self, I don't think that I did anything wrong. I was doing what most of us were told to do. Work hard, save money, invest, build something for the future. And I still believe that was the right thing to do. But I think there's a part of retirement that we don't talk about enough, the emotional side. For 30 or 40 years, your money is something that you're trying to build. You're putting money in. You're watching it grow. You're waiting for the day when you can finally use it. And then eventually, that day comes. And you have to start seeing your money differently. It can't just be a number anymore. It has to become something useful, something that supports the life that you worked so hard to create. And that's what that $805 represent to me. It's not about being rich. It's not about having the perfect investment strategy. It's a reminder that the decisions that I made years ago are starting to help me today. And honestly, that's what I think a successful retirement looks like. It's not just having the biggest account, but having confidence that your money is working for you. And if you're watching this and you are thinking about retirement, or maybe you are already retired, I want to ask you to think about one question. What does your money need to do for you? Not what someone on the internet says that it should do, not what the latest investing trends say. What do you need it to do for the life that you want? Because here's something that I've learned. Retirement isn't just about finally having enough money. It's about having enough confidence to enjoy the life that you've worked so hard to build. For years, we spend our time working for our money. But eventually, there comes a point where our money should start working for us. And that's not just about investments. That's about freedom. The freedom to make choices, the freedom to spend your time the way that you want, the freedom to know that the sacrifices that you made years ago were worth it. That's what retirement means to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.